On the fight in Texas over voting rights. Today marks a week since 57 Texas Democratic lawmakers first fled to Washington, D.C. in a bid to prevent passage of a bill before the Texas legislature that would restrict access to voting. The NAACP vowed to pay bail for the lawmakers if Texas Governor Greg Abbott makes good on his promise to arrest them pursuant to warrants that he had already issued. I'm honored to be joined now by the president of the NAACP, Derrick Johnson. Derrick, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you said that the recent passage of state laws restricting voting signifies nothing less than a war being declared on democracy. Explain why the voting rights crisis is so urgent.
Well, it's urgent because we are going to be confronted for the first time since 1970 redistricting process, a process where the political boundary lines are redrawn for every jurisdictions where individuals are elected from districts, whether it's city council, county commissioners, water boards, Congress, state legislative processes without the protection of voting rights to ensure that those lines are not so gerrymandered based on race. It removed the opportunity for African Americans to elect candidates of their choice. In addition to that, elected officials in Georgia and Texas and all across the country, they're trying to define which voters that they want, as opposed to voters identifying and voting for elected officials that will meet their needs and interests. That's not a democracy. What they're doing is a direct attack on our democracy.
Now, the NAACP offered to pay bail for any of the Texas Democratic lawmakers who might be arrested pursuant to arrest warrants issued by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And we know that he's serious because shortly after the Texas House voted to have the lawmakers arrested, a state trooper, along with a House sergeant, entered the office of Representative Sean Thierry, trying to apprehend her and lock her in the state chamber. What does it say about our democracy that a state governor is sending troopers out to arrest members of the legislature from the opposite party?
It's akin to kidnapping someone and forcing them to work. We used to call that slavery, or we used to call that involuntary servitude. Here you have members of the Texas legislative body who decided, as opposed to sit in their seats and be taken out, that they were going to fight back. And their fight was to get out of the jurisdiction so they can't be forced to be in the Capitol while members of the House vote to strip them of the ability to get reelected. We commend them for that. And because of their bold and courageous stand, we're going to stand with them. We're going to support them. And that's why we made that announcement. But we're also in ongoing communication with members of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus and looking at more ways we can to be supportive.
You tweeted out the following last week. The Texas legislature's efforts to silence the voices of its own constituents is an assault on our most fundamental values. This is a dark time, a time for good trouble, as John Lewis would say. The Texas lawmakers who fled the state are demonstrating necessary good trouble. Now, aside from actions taken by those Texas lawmakers, what does good trouble look like to you?
Good trouble for us is standing in the way of regressive policy, standing in the way of individuals who are trying to diminish or take away one's right. And there are many tactics to get into good trouble. Protests, sit-ins, being arrested, demonstrations. But in this case, the most effective good trouble was for the members of the Texas legislative bodies to prevent the final passage of public policy, which would have suppressed African American, Latino, and many other communities' right to vote. That is good trouble. It is something that the governor has said that we're going to arrest you if we get you. But the members of that delegation say you can't get us because we're outside of the state.
Mm-hmm. Now, last week, we watched President Biden deliver one of the most anticipated speeches of his presidency. And in it, he compared the restrictive voting bills being passed across the country to what we saw out of the Jim Crow era. But while the speech was long on rhetoric, it was short on action. Is the president doing enough?
But this issue is in Congress, is in the Senate. We need 50 senators to stand up for democracy and not be concerned with a procedural rule that will impede progress that actually was used by segregationists. So the speech is great. It generated a lot of attention to put the focus on here, but for the NAACP, it is the outcome of voter protection that we're pursuing. So as much as I'm on this show and others give speeches, the only thing we should be celebrating or commending is the outcome of federal policy to protect our right to vote.
Now, you know Texas isn't alone in trying to pass restrictive voter laws. More than a dozen other states have already enacted new laws since the 2020 election, and many more bills are currently in the works. Are you hoping that others will follow the lead of the Texas Democrats in taking drastic action to prevent passage of these restrictions?
But the procedural rules in each state differ, right? So Georgia have already adopted some of these restrictive measures. What we are pushing for is a federal policy to stop states from doing what Texas is seeking to do and to reverse what has been done in several other states. Why should we be in 2021 still dealing with issues that should have been resolved in 1960, should have been addressed in ways in which we can stand up and say, as we send troops abroad to fight for democracy, we actually are practicing democracy in this country. I don't understand why corporate America have not stood up and say, wait a minute, this is wrong. I don't understand why more citizens outside of the Black community is not recognizing that this is a problem, or why members across partisanship see this not as a partisan posture, but an attack on our Constitution. We have to do more to protect democracy and not allow those individuals seeking to maintain power erode the very foundation by which this country is held together.
Now, you might have heard, we just had on Melanie Campbell, president of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, and she, along with multiple other Black women, were arrested last Thursday at the U.S. Capitol. Do you think we need to see more similar acts of civil disobedience to keep the nation's attention focused on this issue?
You know, tactics should be a part of an overall strategy to get to the outcome. And so, as my friend Melody and Chairwoman Joyce Beatty and many others are using that tactic, we are all in concert to get to an outcome of federal protection for our rights to vote. So you will see many groups, many individuals using several tactics, a part of a broader strategy to get enacted legislation, primarily out of the Senate, so we can move this conversation in a way in which we are providing support for communities and legitimate voters across the country to exercise and participate in this democracy.
All right, President of the NAACP, Derrick Johnson, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.